I would like to introduce my three panelists, which I am very blessed and fortunate to share this session with. And I will do this alphabetically. So please bear with me, and gents, don't gush as I put your brand out there. So my first panelist is Felix Godlo. With over 4 years in the payroll and HR consulting world, and now over 2 years in the talent management space, Felix is your go-to catalyst for organizational transformation. He's honed his craft in understanding customer needs and efficiencies, using this insight to propel businesses towards streamlined processes and heightened efficiencies. His journey from consulting to sales and now talent management and development has really equipped him with a unique skill set, a blend of strategic consulting, adept salesmanship, and a relentless drive to nurture and develop talent in organizations for superior performance. Specialities that Mr. Godlo boasts would be senior customer engagement, agile adaptability and rapid learning. In the professional realm, software and module sales expertise, seamless software implementation, procedural optimization and project management, legislation compliance, in other words, employment equity and skills legislation within the South African context, performance management, profiling, and software support. However, beyond the professional realm, he thrives in developing training programs for elite sports teams, but also individuals looking to get into healthy living and fostering a passion for coaching and personal development. Felix, that is a mouthful, but let me just quickly ask you, is there anything I missed? Is there a special or unique secrets about you that we don't know that you are feeling willing and free to share?
No, thanks, Inge. Jeez, no one has ever introed me that well. I feel like I'd do myself a disservice by saying anything after that, but that's pretty cool. Thank you for that. No, you've hit the hammer on the nail. So currently what the company that I work for does is LRMG. Specifically, what we do is we are basically a performance agency. We help propel businesses to perform, whether that means from a change management perspective, all the way to systems or tools that we put in place to enable business performance, ultimately bottom line effect. So, and specifically what I do is key account manager. I look after those businesses, make sure they get their return on investment. Yeah, and as a background fun fact, very, very quickly, I am a dad, got 2 little kiddos. 2's enough. If you want to ask me, just a bit of advice there. But very, very cute little kids, very, very smart. They think they take after their dad. But fun fact, I was in a show Survivor, right? Was it 2 years ago now? South African Survivor. So it's pretty, and that's probably one of the things that I'll probably tap into as a thing that I draw from experiences from. But and that's the relevance of it. This is not just something I walk around telling everybody. But that's the small antidote that Inge alluded to earlier. So yeah, very keen for this conversation and really, really nice to meet everybody.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Felix. I'd love to introduce Göran Persson. So Göran has extensive experience in the financial markets as a commercial banker and a financial learning facilitator and consultant. He has been practically involved in relationship banking, credit analysis, deal structuring, investment management, and corporate finance. And this is all through his role as relationship manager. In addition to his financial market experience, Göran is a guest lecturer on postgraduate courses at business schools and universities in Europe, Africa, the Middle East, and Northern America. The topics Göran presents include financial market awareness, financial analysis, and risk management and transaction structuring. He is a co-founder of Wildebok Learning, a learning experience management company, and is occasionally engaged as public speaker on current topics. Mr. Göran, thank you so much for being a willing participant to this session. You have definitely catapulted us into the international spheres. So thank you for that. Göran, have I missed any sort of fun fact, special fact you would like to add to that? And please share with the audience a little bit more about Wildebok Learning.
Well, if it's a fun fact, I don't know, but you mentioned learning facilitator, and I think that's important. That I don't see it as a teacher, trainer, whatever we call it, but because I don't think you can teach people if they don't want to learn. And that's just a philosophy I have, that you can facilitate their learning, but you can't make them learn. So I think that's a important distinction between the two. But that's also a topic I'm burning for. How can people learn? What can you make, or how can you help them learn? What is behind it? And there was an article this morning that I read that say, yeah, well, if somebody doesn't want to learn, you can't force them to. And I think that's very true. So maybe I let it with that, but that's my philosophy, and that's what I kind of preaching as well.
Wonderful, thank you. And I mean, look, I've known you for a couple of years, and it is a message that has been consistent with you. So absolutely. I love that. And last but not least, Mr. Jaap. So Jacques' background is quite colorful, I would say. And so from MRO, and Jacques, please, I'm going to give you an opportunity to please explain these acronyms. But from MRO to marketing, and I saw these acronyms when I did research on your profile. So yeah, if you could please educate the audience when I hand over to you. So from MRO to marketing and raw materials to packaging, he is experienced in strategic sourcing, having concluded more than 95 strategic level RFPs in his career to date. That is phenomenal. So as an outflow of that activity, he has negotiated approximately 1 billion rand in contract value at the strategic level. He leverages his experience and knowledge to spearhead positive engagements, innovation, and product development. Another acronym there is BML. And as a firm believer in empowerment and upskilling of his team, as success lies in team synergy. So with a proven track record in successfully drafting, co-creating, and implementing procurement strategies that achieved market sales growth and savings, as well as sustainable supply chains, he is a firm believer that he would contribute to a company's ongoing growth and success. With that, I'm handing over to you, Jacques. So first of all, those acronyms, dude, like, and then a fun fact of yourself, like who is Jacques, and what is Jacques all about?
Sure. Thank you for that, Inge. Yeah, it's very descriptive. I think following more than a decade's worth of corporate procurement, engaging with different departments like MRO, which is facilities, and your marketing and your finances and your raw materials and packaging guys. You tend to speak. What I found is to build strong and sustaining relationships. It's important to learn their lingo, because then once a couple of years ago, here's a fun fact. A few years ago, I was actually a guest speaker at a SIPS event, and the theme of my talk was being the wolf in sheep's clothing. And in order to really infiltrate a department and not just their budget, or influence on their budget, but to really build strong relationships, it's important to speak their language. It's important for them to feel comfortable and trust you enough to then be open enough to your suggestions, recommendations, and guidance. And that's been the foundation of how I operate. And yeah, so turning full circle, following my years of procurement and corporate, I always looked for a supplier that potentially could fulfill all my needs, and it was an array of needs. And I always ended up with working on a project. You work with 5 different suppliers because that's the norm. And I wanted to, you know what, and you've known me for many years, I'm all about pushing back against status quo. Everybody walks this way, I walk that way, or I at least look for a way to walk that way. And I set out on my own, taking this wealth and bag of experience and knowledge, the relationships I had with corporates, and then I started to become a supplier to a lot of the companies I used to work for because people knew me, they knew my work ethics. And again, there was already the foundation of trust. And yeah, so from there onwards, build and build. And to date, still loving it. I'm often accused by my family, loving wife and 2 beautiful kids. Daughter actually going to high school now, Felix. So yeah, that's a new, different chapter on its own. So yeah, and I don't feel that old. And I think I told her, you're making me look old. So yeah. And so taking all that whole mixed bag, and I look forward to speaking of how 2023 has been in reflecting back, and gonna deep dive into a lot of things there and try and bring my natural sense of humor into things. Because what I've often, Inge can attest, what I often find too is you just laugh. Sometimes you laugh when you're happy, you laugh when you're in disbelief, you laugh when you're sad. But I always think that laughing is my default mechanism of just acknowledging everything, picking yourself up and carrying on. So yeah.
I absolutely love that, and it's such a beautiful segue into where I would love to steer the conversation. If anyone else would love to know a fun fact about me, so let me just use this gray streak here. I've growing up, I've always used to be a fan, and I think that's something else Jacques and I share. Always used to be a fan of X-Men. And there we go.
There you go.
And there's a character called Rogue. And Rogue has got this flashier hair. And what you talked about earlier on, Jacques, about when the stream goes one way, you go the opposite. I've always seen myself that way. I don't like conforming. And so I actually loved that Rogue title, you know. So the fun fact is, and a lot of people surprisingly have stopped me in the streets. Not that I walk the streets a lot, but you know, when I go to respectful places and respectable places, people would ask me like, wow, this looks cool. Like, you know, how did you do it? You know, where did you go? Where can I have it done? And I said, well, you know, genetics created this actually. And I actually discovered the origin of this gray streak, which I found out is a birthmark. And I discovered the origin last year, December. We were at my grandmother's home, so the household where my dad grew up. We laid my grandmother to rest. And as usually, families come together afterwards and just share stories and memories of loved ones past. And then my eye fell on this one photograph against the wall. And this lady also had the streak. And turns out it's my grandmother's great-grandmother. So my great-great-grandmother. And so that was I just had a moment because I used to, and it disappeared in my 20s. I used to dye it away, people. Yes, I use hair dye. I don't just wake up looking like this. But yeah, so that's a fun fact for me. And it's just, I think the older I'm getting and discovering all these moments of family legacies, it makes a person feel good, actually, you know, knowing that there's that connection. So, fun fact of me.